Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing on this brilliant Monday? Here we are with another right here, right now, and really sadly, the last right here, right now from Dominic Berry as we sort of fall into the final week of his residency, which is a real shame to come to the end because there's so much that I think we've gained from this residency, and equally, there's so much more that I knew that we could learn. But sadly, 3 weeks is all we have, so we're going to make this one an amazing one, and we're going to have some brilliant events this week. But most importantly, we've got our right here, right now for you to get right in this Monday morning and get creative. If you're catching us a little bit later on the YouTube, don't you worry about that. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, any day, any month, and you can still come back and learn something. So either way, here we are, and let's do something fun and creative. We've got Dominic Berry, as I was saying, who has been our resident writer in resident for the last coming on to 2 weeks, and he is the Glastonbury's Festival and Poet was in 2017, and he was the winner of the 2020 and 2017 Saboteur Best Poet Spoken Word Artist Award. And so he has quite the reputation and quite the resume through both poetry and also through his poetry with children and young people work as well, which is very interesting spin. We've had some brilliant events on that. But we've still got a whole load of great events to come for the rest of this week, and I'll tell you all about them after the right here, right now. But let's get straight into the creativeness. Let's get straight into bringing in Dom and doing all of the fun and exciting stuff that we're all waiting for. So, Dom, hello.
Hello, Zach. What a lovely introduction. Thank you very, very, very much indeed. Hello. Good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. This has been lovely being part of this residency. I've really, really, really super enjoyed it. Now, I'm going to share 3 poems of my own this morning. They're 3 poems which I have regularly performed at events, and I've been very happy that people have come up to me after events and talked about their connections with all 3 of these poems, which is a real gift. If you're at a poetry recital and there's a poet who said something that you enjoy, please do go up to them. We can sometimes think, oh, I don't want to bother them. I bet they'll be like in their own space wanting to calm down and just have a bit of privacy. No. Poets love it if you go up to them. And that's not just whoever's been booked to be the guest artist, but anyone on open mics. I believe that's the best thing about performance events, and one of the reasons why performance events are my favourite kind of, not just poetry, but art. Performance poetry is my favourite kind of art. I believe it's the most direct, the most interactive, and has the potential and often success in being the most community driven. I know we can look around and not all communities might be right for us, but there are so many nurturing, welcoming spaces. I'm going to share one of my poems from my latest book, No Tigers. Now, do you know the film Terminator? And more importantly, Terminator 2? If you don't worry about it. If you're a junior watching this, you definitely won't know it because I believe they're both rated 18. Hey! But all you need to know is the lead character is called Sarah Connor, and she is a single mother, like my single mother. And Sarah Connor is not a sponge or a lazy person or any of the words said with the intent of being insults that were hurled at my mum when I was growing up. No. Sarah Connor is a hero. She fights really hard because she finds out that in the future, her little boy is going to save the world. And these robots, these Terminators, are being sent back in time to try and kill him. She does everything to protect her son, just like my mum protected me. So it's a poem I've written, which is based on one of the speeches where Sarah Connor is looking at a goody Terminator in the movie Terminator 2, who is protecting her son, and she has a little think about stuff. So I've kind of paraphrased some of the dialogue into a poem, and the poem goes exactly like this. Show me a man who knows there is nothing wrong with eyes that cry. A crying man is not breaking down. A man who can block his tears is not fixed. Eyes are valves, not sealed circuits closed shut. Only open eyes can see. Show me a man who knows how to see, who will stay with my child and me. Show me a man who will hear my son's howls and know they are the sound of his engine accelerating. The internal combustion marks the start of a path to all that his pain and love will generate. Show me a man who will help me raise him, who won't shut him down, who knows why we cry, or at least show me a man I can teach. Because I'm teaching my child tears can repair. When he sees the damage done, he will care and want to try to mend. I'm teaching my child it is not too much for a man to try to be human. Cheers for listening. So that's quite a recent poem by me. Way back in the mists of time, in the year 1999, when I first arrived in the city and first saw poems spoken, as opposed to at school when we'd studied poetry in books. And I'd loved it. I'd done really well at the poetry bit of school. I've been writing poems in my own time, not just for homework, but it wasn't until I left school, left the countryside and came to the city and saw a wonderful Liverpool poet, Jerry Potter, in his guise as Chloe Poems, performing poems that I thought, that's what I want to do. Political, funny, powerful, memorable, skillfully rhythmic, magnificent, epic art. Loved it. And I learned from listening. So I've mentioned that's the first 3 poems today. I'm going to see how the time goes. I've not yet decided if we're even going to do any writing. We might not. I would like it if you had something with which to write. I would like that, because maybe we will. Maybe we'll do that stream of consciousness, or maybe we won't, because I tell you, I learned from listening. Now, I know it's a really arrogant thing for me to say, learn from listening to my poems. However, objectively, my poems have won stuff, and they've had loads of applause from big audiences at festivals and art centres. So objectively, there's some people who think they're all right. So I'm using that as a basis to say, I feel a degree of confidence that I can present my poems as something from which I believe you can learn and step forward and create something in the same way I did when I heard Jerry Potter. I did not go to workshops. I didn't know workshops were a thing. I know people who are in bands wanting to be musicians, and they haven't all gone to workshops on, like, here's how you play a chord progression on the guitar. Some of them have, but loads of our most successful musicians just got up and started playing and listened to albums. The one main thing of this half-hour slot this morning is get involved in the kind of art that you want to create. Don't think, oh yeah, I'm this person creating in solitude. No. Get involved in the kind of art you want to create. Now, I'm a poet, so that's what I'm bringing to the table. If you're writing other amazing forms, as I know some people who attend this residency are, like brilliant stuff like flash fiction or novels or short stories. Well, I've got a little bit less expertise in those areas, but I feel very confident in sharing my poems. Now, second of 3 I'm going to share, they're all about my feelings, and they're all inspired by pop culture icons, the 3 poems today. So the first one was Sarah Connor, the character from the movie Terminator 2. This one is a singer, and it's a singer who you might not have heard of. She's a disco singer from the late 70s, 80s, 90s. She's featured on a lot of other artists' records as a session artist, but isn't necessarily massively known in her own right, which I believe is a crime. Her name is Jocelyn Brown. I've had the great pleasure of seeing her perform in concert, and here's a short poem about me and someone who I was in a very long romantic relationship with. The 2 of us at Jocelyn Brown's concert, and he and me listening to her and having a great old time. This is called Jocelyn Brown Jazz Cafe, and it goes like this. Ear to ear, roof to floor, the air has gone solid with bass, and the crowd has turned into liquid. We have had to. Everyone's melted into one sweaty, sing-along throng, bubbling song. Simmering lips and shimmering hips slip slide between the tightest slices of concrete sound. Funk bound, we are profound dancers, barely touch ground, too important for ground. Jocelyn sings, keep on jumping, you and me, keep jumping, my heart, you have tugged it to pieces. When I jump, bits hit walls like jelly, splat, splish, splash, crash, our arms collide, your tongue on mine, squish. Not read that poem for a long time, mostly because the person who it's about and I broke up, and it devastated me. I used to read that all. That's the first time I've read it since the breakup, which was about 7 years ago. Woo! I enjoy that poem. Now, I learned from listening. Like, you know, you hear bands being like, oh yeah, I listened to all the albums of the Beatles. They didn't attend a John Lennon workshop. They just listened to it, and they just, you know, this is on YouTube, me speaking. Loads of my poems are on YouTube. Loads of poets who you might prefer to me are on YouTube. Loads of poets who you might have a better connection than me, perhaps, are on YouTube. Get involved in the kind of art you want to create. Listen to other artists. Listen, because that's how I learned. I did not learn in a classroom or a formal setting. I did not learn. I learned by listening and looking at my poems and being like, I read this in a public space, and people just clapped politely at the end. And that other poet, Jerry Potter, whoever, Lem Sissay, Jackie Hagan, you know, they read their poem and people cheered and whooped. What was different about theirs? Look at the expressions on the faces of the people in the audience. What was the moment? What really hooked them in? What were they doing that I didn't? What were they doing that I didn't? Why has that poem at that competition won and I haven't? Yes, art can be argued to be a matter of opinion. However, if there is one poet who consistently wins competitions and another poet who doesn't, and that's consistent, are there reasons for that? I'm not saying that winning is everything. I'm not at all. It is possible to be excellent and never win at anything. And the Western world desire to chronicle achievement is harmful and toxic, and I hate it. But by boasting about stuff I've won, it's helped me get my art to a greater number of people. So to a certain degree, I play the game. I have mentioned in a previous thing that there's loads of competitions I haven't won, absolutely loads. I don't want you to think, oh, you know, Dominic goes in and wins everything, you know, and if I don't win, there's reasons for that. There's reasons. And to walk away going, yeah, it's so unfair, I suggest isn't the most helpful to you to walk away. Yeah, hey, it's okay. Even if it is unfair, I think to choose to focus on that emotion isn't the best way for you to progress as an artist, or dare I say, as a person. That's my matter of opinion. So I've said 2 of the 3 poems. The first one was about Sarah Connor from Terminator. The second one was about Jocelyn Brown. Sarah Connor is a more famous pop icon than Jocelyn Brown. I've mentioned before, it's really good to think, who am I writing for? Who am I writing for? And if your answer is everybody, I suggest that that isn't the best answer. So not everyone's heard of Jocelyn Brown. I could have written a celebratory poem for Jocelyn Brown that just referenced loads of things to do with her career. And then that poem would have been only really accessible to people who knew her career. That would have been okay, as long as I knew that's what I was doing. My final poem I'm going to share is a little bit that way. It's a little bit that way. I've thought to myself, who is it for? And really, my final poem is for people who like the pop culture to which I refer. Those of you who saw me last week who heard me say my Minecraft poem, the pop culture phenomenon that is the video game Minecraft, I believe that is similar to the Jocelyn Brown one. It kind of uses that pop culture as a starting point. And if you don't know Minecraft, if you don't know Jocelyn Brown, you're still going to get something from the poem. I'm going to share my last one for today now. It's about the NES, N-E-S, NES. NES stands for Nintendo Entertainment System, and I use the word NES a lot. NES is an old video game system from the 80s and 90s. NES is what is known as an 8-bit video game system. Now, the reason I've told you those things is I use the words NES and 8-bit in the poem, and it's okay to give your art an introduction. We've all been to galleries where there's a magnificent abstract painting and there's that little bit of paper stuck on the wall that gives a bit of an intro. Without that, you might not have the reference points that would enable you to get a better access of it. So I've given you those two things, and I encourage you in your poems to think about, will people know this? Now, I've got friends who'd be like, yeah, Dom, everybody knows what a NES is, but that's not true. Just because they know what a NES is doesn't mean everybody knows what a NES is. And you need to know what NES and 8-bit mean to get this poem. It is essentially a list of 8-bit games. And it is really for people who are part of this world. It's not, you know, like if you're not part of this world, well, we'll see what you think. We'll see. Here's my poem called 8-Bit Buddy. My mates can't wait to forget me, berate my state because I can't play correctly the latest games, but get my NES and I will be your greatest 8-bit buddy, if you let me. My mates can't wait to forget me, berate the state because I can't play correctly the latest games, but get my NES and I will be your greatest 8-bit buddy. If you let me make our lives easy wherever we go, I will be the Luigi to your Mario, your comrade, your helper, whatever you think. Can I be your Zelda? Would you be my Link? Tomorrow's long trails will feel laconic. I follow like tails because you're supersonic. Whatever you long for, I'll get us there sooner. Will you, Donkey Kong, take my Donkey Kong Jr.? My mates can't wait to forget me, berate my state because I can't play correctly the latest games, but get my NES and I will be your greatest 8-bit buddy. If you let me join the best at Dragon Quest, your Mega Man, I would be blessed to press that B button. You bet this means even more than my high score at Tetris. I'll steer you clear if spears appear on Chip and Dale or Metal Gear. Let me be a buddy on whom you depend. It's my final fantasy to just find a friend. But my mates can't wait to forget me, berate my state because I can't play correctly the latest games. But get my NES and I will be your greatest 8-bit buddy, if you let me. Oh, I enjoyed saying that. If you are a fan of video games from that era, I listed loads of them, didn't I? And one of them is not on the NES. So 10 points if you spot the kind of deliberate, I had to put one in, of that era. There was a Sega game on there. So 10 points if you got it. If you didn't, well, there's a little bit of homework for you. Right. I'm going to ask you to write a list. We're not going to do the stream of consciousness thing that we sometimes do, although I encourage you to do that every day in which you write. I do not write every day. But every day in which I do write, I start with that 3 minutes of just writing anything to focus the brain. I'm not writing today. I'll tell you what I'm doing today. I'm off out with one of my friends for a lovely lunch. So I'm having a day off after I've done this. So I'm not going to do that, but I encourage you to do so. What I would like you to do is make a list. Make a list. So on your computer or with pen and paper, I'm going to give us just, let's have a think, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and I'll not talk in those 3 minutes. I want you to make a list of pop culture things that you really love. Now, I've got poems about video games. I've got poems about singers like Kate Bush, Leonard Cohen, David Bowie, people who I really like. It could be a visual artist. It could be a really obscure artist. Just make a list. So we're literally just writing down names like David Bowie, Mario, Picasso, that sort of thing, and see how many people that you genuinely like. Don't try and be clever. Don't put Rembrandt down because you think that's a clever thing. Just things that honestly, hand on heart, you're like, yeah, these are pop culture things that I love. And in 3 minutes' time, I'll tell you for why. Time started now. Let's go. Pen to paper. I'll stop talking. Other than to give you time updates. Start your list. What pop culture things do you like? Books, movies, movie stars. Keep thinking of your list. We've gone through 1 minute. I'm going to give you another couple of minutes to carry on with your list. We're not being creative yet. We're literally just doing a bullet point list of pop culture things you like. A sitcom, a specific actor from a sitcom. A novel, a novelist, a character from a novel. We're halfway through our time. Just going to give you another minute and a half to do your list. Keep writing. On your list is a poet on your list. Don't choose me. Not that you would, but, you know, like, yeah. I've written poems celebrating poets. Absolutely, I have. That's a good thing to do. That's a good thing to do. 30 more seconds and we'll come back together. 20 seconds. Last couple of things on our list. Ten seconds. Three, two, one. Yeah, just come to the end of whatever point you're on. You can carry on this list separately if you so desire. Now, my poems could have just been a celebration of Terminator, a list. And there's lots of poets who do that. And that's cool. I would argue that it's even cooler to add in a personal element. You like the things on your list for a reason, yeah? So in the Terminator 2 Sarah Connor poem, I made the connection to my single mum. So the poem is praising Terminator for having a fantastic lead actress, lead character, but it's also making a direct comparison to my single mum, and that's why it's important to me. The second poem, Jocelyn Brown is a disco singer who sings dancey songs that are often love songs. So I spoke about dancing with someone I was in love with. So that there was that. It wasn't just a celebration of Jocelyn Brown. It was a particular moment in time with someone who was very special to me at that moment. The third poem is about friendship. I was looking after one of my best friends, lads, like she's got an 11-year-old lad, day before yesterday. We spent virtually the whole day playing video games and it was epic good. What a thing for different generations to share. I know they're not everyone's cup of tea and that is all right, but you know, get me on Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the answer to which was the odd one out before. And yeah, it's just wonderful. So it was about friendship. Your mission, should you choose to accept it as we come to the end of our time together, I would, after doing 3 minutes of just brain clearing, write about anything, if you've done these before, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't done these before, go on YouTube, watch one of the earlier ones of these, and I'll talk you through it. So do that first. Bing, that's done. After that, do 3 minutes stream of consciousness on why that pop icon is important to you. If you've chosen Dorothy from the Golden Girls, who does she remind you of? Who have you, I don't know why on earth I chose Dorothy from the Golden Girls. What a random thing to just pop in my head. I'm not going to write a poem about Dorothy from Golden Girls, but you might. And why does she remind you of someone? Is there parallels with someone in your life? And I would do a stream of consciousness, just plotting it out before I then went to do my first draft. Now, the last thing I'll say before I say goodbye is that it's a myth. It is a myth. It is not true that you have to be in a miserable place to write great poems. I strongly, strongly disagree with that. Kate Bush made her album Hounds of Love her most successful record when she was in a happy place and spoke at great lengths afterwards about how damaging and toxic she believes it is, that you have to be miserable to make good art, and that good art has to be about miserable things. There are joyful, joyful pieces of music on the Hounds of Love album that rate among Kate Bush's greatest work. Definitely that first and second poem were really, really happy ones. The video game one, 8-Bit Buddy, was a bit of a mixture because I was talking about friendship in relation to loneliness there. So there was a bit of multi-textured malarkey going on there. But I encourage you to not just go to the dark places to create. I encourage you to think about what you want to celebrate, because when you're at a poetry event, and you've heard 9 poems about people hating Boris Johnson and how evil he is and all the cruel things he's done. That's really important to talk about. But then somebody gets up and they're like, oh, here's my poem about Dorothy from the Golden Girls. You can feel the mood go, ah. But it's the emotional connection that matters. Just celebrating Dorothy from Golden Girls, that's like one level, but then to really connect it to the human experience, to what matters to you, why why have you chosen this pop culture thing? Why does it matter? What is it? And that's where the gold is, in my opinion. So we got open house this week. I'm going to hand back to Zach in a moment, and he's going to chat about the upcoming things in this week. I would absolutely love it if in our open house we had a couple of poems where people are chatting about, you know, an album they like, a novel they adore. That'd be a really cool thing to hear. So good luck writing. I'm going to hand you back to Zach. Happy days, my friends. See you next time.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dom. That was absolutely brilliant. Another wonderful right here, right now that we've just had. And I really hope everyone has gotten a lot out of that. I know that last little piece about writing with happiness and stuff is such a vital conversation, such a vital little bit of advice that I think is lacking quite a lot when it comes to sort of creative industries. And I think those really nice little moments went on, because I know even for myself, sometimes that idea of the tortured artist sort of takes your skew, and you feel like you have to dig deep into the depths of like despair in order to actually be able to create work, because everything else is just not worth it. And it's ridiculous. It's not useful, and it just stops you being able to create because you are overthinking it. So I think that's wonderful advice. I think everyone should take a piece out of that, and I know I'm definitely going to take that into my week. So thank you, Dom, for that. As he was saying, we have got so many brilliant events to come, and we can't wait. It's a real shame to see it to be Dom's last week, but we're going to make it one hell of a last week to make up for that. So please do join us for this. Tomorrow we have the Bloc Social, the opportunity for us to have a nice little discussion as a sort of creative community, bring everyone together. If you just want to have a little chat with some other writers, if you want the opportunity to bring some people together. And also, I think it's hard to find creative communities, and finding a group of writers together and being able to like chat and get to know each other, you never know what sort of conversations you're going to get from that. But for that Bloc Social one, we're looking at the idea of what we can create together. So this idea of community and collective creativism. So very exciting stuff. And I think that's a fascinating discussion. So I'd love for you all to join us with that one. And then, as Don was saying, we have the open house on Wednesday, which is an opportunity for you to share your work. Pick it, the Golden Girls poem, pick whichever poem you'd like, but you get to share your work and we all get to listen to it, give our feedback, give our sort of responses to it. You get the opportunity to listen to other people's work. Hearing other people perform is just as beneficial, I think, as performing yourself. Sometimes you take so much more from other people and what they do than you do yourself. So it's really going to help you as a writer if you join. So please take part in that. And then we say farewell to Dom with the Bloc party on Friday, which is a shame, but it's going to be a wonderful celebration of readings, performances, conversations. And it's going to be a lovely, one hell of a way to sort of close the residency. So we can't wait. So please do join us for the rest of this week. We've got so many things going on. Just head over to our website and see what we've got happening there, and be able to book onto all of the events. They're all free to book onto them. And tell us which individual you're going to write your poem on, because we want to know that as well. So go on our socials and tell us that, because we'd love to find out. Either way, that's everything I think that I need to say. I feel like there's a lot of things that were on my chest that I just got out there, as well as the work side. So thank you all for that as well. But thanks so much for joining us this morning. It's been a brilliant time, and we look forward to seeing you again. And we hope you have a wonderful day. So enjoy yourselves, get creative, do what you want, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.